Good afternoon, everyone. It is Leap Day. It just dawned on me. It is Leap Day today, Thursday, February 29th. It is a day that only rolls around once every 4 years. So isn't that fun? So happy birthday to any of those leap babies out there who were born on February 24th or February 29th, because you're probably like what, only a few years old at this point. So happy birthday to the leap babies. But today we have some exciting things we're going to talk about here on Real Estate Recess today. So let's get into it, shall we? First of all, we are going to talk about some good news. Who doesn't like some good news every once in a while? It is dark out there. There's so much doom and gloom. And I was really excited to find this headline about Clackamas County's response to the homelessness crisis that we are facing here in Oregon, in the Portland metro area. So, want to share that with you because I feel like we're overdue for good news and nobody talks about good stuff very much. So, want to absolutely get into that today. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, you remember we talked about ODOT and their tolling plans of that are coming up here in the next couple years in the Portland metro. It turns out that it is the most highly contested in Clackamas County. I don't know if that's a surprise to you. It's certainly not to me, but we'll talk about that. Then we're going to get into the top 10 most expensive homes that sold recently in Oregon City. And I wanted to talk about this today because I think you're going to be surprised at what's on that list. So we'll take a look at that. That was reported by Oregon Live. I thought that was a really cool thing and wanted to use that as a point to talk about what's happening in the housing market here locally. And finally, an interesting article I saw, as reported by Inman. Inman is a real estate media company. They said in a recent article that 49% of real estate agents had one sale or less. I don't know how you could do half a sale, but of course, the averages in 2023. We'll talk about that and what that means to you as somebody who's either going to be buying a home or selling a home in the near future. So it's Real Estate Recess. Thanks for being here. Leave me a comment and let me know what's going on. Tell me what you think about any of the topics we're talking about. I would love to have you be part of the conversation today. So, first of all, I figured we could take a look at a couple things to start with. I've got a screen I can share. We're going to talk about the Clackamas County homeless crisis and how the county has responded to what's going on in the homeless crisis. So I'm going to try to share my screen. So bear with me on this. We are going to select this tab, supported by Coin. Coin wasn't the only. Coin News 6 was not the only outlet that ended up reporting this, but this headline is definitely some good news. Clackamas County records 65% decline in homelessness from 2019 to 2023. So over that 4-year period of time, homelessness declined. And you might remember, if you've been here a while, then you might recall that. I'm going to bear with me here. Sorry. Doing this live, and sometimes we have some things getting in the way. Um, Hopefully I don't have too many disruptions on there. Anyway, getting into this, you might remember, if you've been here since 2020, or before, in that election, we voted here in the metro area in favor of Measure 26-10, which is here in the article. And that provided some funding to help with the homeless crisis that we have going on. So the good news part of this is that using that funding in the supportive housing services shows that the county was able to rehouse 314 residents, roughly 128 households, in about 6 months. And the hope was that they could rehouse just 120 by June 30th. So, Tootie Smith, the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners, what she's saying, that this really points to the fact that Clackamas County is doing it right. This money is being allocated and spent well, and helping folks in our area avoid homelessness and all of that. And the reason this is important, and the reason that I want to talk about this, is that this all plays into the livability of our area. And as a real estate agent, I'm helping people buy homes maybe that they've never considered Clackamas County before. They've never or they're wondering what it's like to live here, people coming from out of state. A lot of the questions have to do with what it's like to live in a place or live in an area. So what is it like to live in Clackamas County? What's the quality of life like for folks who live in this area? And so this particular topic, I think, really it's relevant. It plays an important role to people to know that locally people are taken care of, that there is some livability, there's a good quality of life even for those who need that support, sometimes that come in the form of social services, and folks in our county are not just being completely turned away from. So I think this is great news. We love good news. Don't I mean, raise your hand out there, leave me a comment if you think we need more good news like this, to know that our resources that we're paying for in tax dollars are being wisely used and allocated by the folks who have that responsibility of spending our tax dollars for us. So, love to hear that. But let me know what you think. I know that the homeless crisis is something that requires kind of an all hands on deck. There's not one perfect answer or solution to this problem. It's going to be something that I think as a community, as a state, and as people in general, there's going to have to be a lot of different options and solutions that we look at, as we figure out how we're going to fix this issue or find a logical solution. It's multifaceted. There's certainly a mental health component. There's a substance component with this for folks who are struggling with addictions. And, but it's good to know that the folks who can avoid, being evicted from their home, that, the county's been able to help with that. So good news on that. So spent just a couple minutes there, but let me know what you think. What are your ideas? What do you think we need to do to, lean into this homeless crisis and figure out the solutions? Leave me a comment. Would love to know your thoughts on that. So our next topic is, gonna burn through a couple of these pretty quick. I'm gonna say it. I don't think but I don't wanna manifest it. I feel like I was traveling here this week, and I feel like, you ride on a plane for 5 hours or so, and it's inevitable, and you're around a lot of people. I was at a real estate conference in Orlando, the Tom Ferry Elite Retreat, this week, and networking and learning. And, I feel like I'm coming down with something, so I don't wanna stress my voice too much because I've gotta make some phone calls today, but so gonna burn through some of these quickly. This isn't going to be the longest real estate recess, so I've got my tea here ready to go. Leave me a comment. What's your favorite remedy if you feel like you're coming down with something? Because, I will take it. I'll take all the advice I can get right now. So hot tea notwithstanding, this is kinda my staple anyway, day to day. Um but anyway, so we'll burn through some more of these topics here. So our next topic is ODOT tolling. It's been a hot topic with people around, people talking about tolling, what that's going to mean for folks who live in the area. Um, a- and the toll being tolled on roads that have already been built, that have been part of our infrastructure system for a long time, and people objecting to that and feeling like it's simply a way for the government to try to reduce congestion at certain times of day, but also just to raise money or make money on a road that's already been paid for essentially. And also the gas tax at this time isn't currently providing enough funding to keep up our roads or add additional infrastructure. I am a believer that the state of Oregon has not done a very good job of planning for population growth. Back when I worked in radio, but prior to being in real estate, we used to sell something called traffic sponsorships for traffic reports. And certain there, I don't remember who it was, but they did a study that said that Oregon, or the Portland metro area, had the eighth worst traffic in the entire country. Portland, by the way, is not one of the largest cities in the country. Of course, it's in the media world, we would say Portland was like number 23 or 25 on the major markets list. So we were considered a mid-major market. So we came in above several other cities that are far larger than Portland, our Portland metro area. So eighth worst traffic in the nation. We used to sell traffic sponsorships for those traffic reports on the radio. So living here, a lot of people know that traffic is a concern, and knowing how to navigate that here in our area. So what do you think? Do you think tolls are a good thing? Are they going to be a way to help reduce the traffic issues that we have here, or do you think it's gonna put traffic onto other roads as people avoid tolls? I am a My opinion, controversial or not, is that I think people are going to dodge tolls, and it's going to put strain on surface streets and back roads because our highways can't accommodate people well anyway. We're already seeing that with the invention of Waze. I mean, who out there uses Waze? I've used Waze before, and I know when I use Waze, it routes me through very off the beaten path residential surface streets, for better or worse. Yeah, you might save some time, but I'm sure that people who live on those streets don't necessarily appreciate that. So, anyway, I think that it's probably not a surprise to anybody. Let me share my screen with you here that, um, Clackamas County done. This is in the Malala Pioneer, local paper. Survey showing that the opposition to tolling across the metro region is getting the strongest pushback in Clackamas County. And I think that's because a lot of people live in Clackamas County. A lot of people that live in Clackamas County commute in. So they live here, they can afford to live here. They like the quality of life that you get when you live out here in the Clackamas County area. And so commuting involves usually having to take I-5 or I-205 to get to where you need to go. And tolling that is just adding additional headache and expense. Um, and also because your choices are limited when you have to commute. You could take 99 through Oregon City, through Milwaukee and Gladstone into Portland, but that's not a very effective solution either. Public transportation is available here, but time is worth something to people too. So if we start putting monetary value on your time, people who live far out and commute because they work in Portland where there's a lot of employment and jobs, it starts to become cost prohibitive when you factor in your time and what your time's worth and your quality of life of relying on public transportation to get from out here into the downtown area. So, and then we factor in quality of life for people who live on streets that are gonna be bombarded with traffic from people avoiding tolls. So curious what you think. What do you think would happen, and where you live, if you're watching this, what you think would happen if these tolls are enacted? So clearly, Clackamas County, w residents here in the area are the ones who are most opposed in the metro area to these tolling. Because again, I think that residents of Clackamas County are going to be the most impacted by these tolls, more so than other parts of the metro. Um, so and it's still a lot of people, 39%, this is interesting, haven't heard or read anything about these proposals. So there's a giant portion of people, well over a third of the population has no idea that this is going to be happening. Um, so anyway, would love to know what you think. Um, Low support here. And it's interesting, of course, Washington County, Multnomah County favored the idea more highly. I don't believe that they would be as impacted by these tolls as people who live in Clackamas County. So it's basically a tax that would be hitting one particular county and people who are passing through who may not be using these freeways as often. So I can see why they'd be upset by it. But also, what are the solutions to improve our infrastructure here? People are still moving here. Yes, not necessarily at the rate, not at the rate that we've seen most recently, but people are gonna continue to move here. This is a beautiful area. There's opportunities, there's employment here. There's still flight from California and other states, people looking for quality of life, and, we have that to offer here. Oregon's a pretty great place to live. You may not agree with that, which is okay. We don't all have to agree on that. But anyway, that's what's going on with that. But again, I wanna know what you think. Leave me a comment. Where do you live? Are you in Clackamas County? What are your thoughts about this? Drop me a comment. Are you in Washington or Multnomah County or live in Portland proper? What do you think about this toll? And also, what are your ideas? What should the state of Oregon and ODOT be doing to improve this? This is a quality of life marker for sure. For folks who live in Clackamas County in the metro area, quality of life is how much time you're spending behind the wheel in a car just to go where you need to go. And also the taxes on things that have already been paid for. A lot of people are opposed to that as well. So, anyway, would love to hear your thoughts on that. Okay, so that's the latest on the tolling. Let's talk about the top 10 most expensive homes that sold recently in Oregon City. And I saw this. This was reported by Oregon Live. And I thought this was interesting, wanted to share it because, um, I was actually surprised by what I saw on that list. We've talked a lot about affordability so far on other episodes of Real Estate Recess, and, um, one thing I think is that surprised me most about what the properties specifically that ended up on this list is that I again, controversial thought, I didn't think some of those properties were as expensive as I would have expected when you see a list of top 10 most expensive properties that sold in an area. I think it points to Oregon City as being a great opportunity for people who are first-time buyers or looking for an affordable property to purchase. So why don't we take a look? I won't dangle the carrot in front of you anymore. Let's take a look at that. I'll share my screen and show you this article. Oregon City's 10 most expensive homes, and these are homes that closed recently, so they were sold between the 12th and 25th of February. So they closed by last week, today being the 29th. So the most expensive is a house that sold for 1.7 million, and we have an average price of $603,000, which comes out at $326 per square foot. And for those of you out there who are getting ready to sell your house or are thinking about it, and you're going to start considering your pricing strategy here pretty soon, um, know that price per square foot is not the end all be all perfect only indicator of what you should price your house at. It could be that if you use that marker and you said, well, if the average price per square foot in Oregon City is $326 a square foot, then that's what I'm going to go with. It's not a great solution for you. I would say it just tells you the price per square foot of your house more than it gives you an indicator of what you should price your house at. If you did that and were to rely on that, it could be okay. But it could also go two ways. It could also say, A, you could leave money on the table by coming in too low, or B, you could also come in way too high for and miss the market for your property. Anyway, just a tangent there on price per square foot. So let's get into it. Number 10 in Oregon City was a single family residence that sold for $445,000. This is number 10, $445,000. These are the top 10 most expensive homes, right? So I don't know if you what you think, but the house was built in 1972 and it's 1,120 square feet. So interesting, interesting opportunity. Do you think that's affordable? $445,000? Let me know what you think in the comments. Number 9, was this $450,000 single family home. It's 1,100 square foot, and it closed on February 16th. So there's a picture of what that house that it closed for. Number 8 is this single family home for $456,000. And this one was built in 1985 and is about 1,057 square feet. Looks like one of those 1970s, 80s style split level houses, but there it is. Surprisingly affordable yet again here in the Oregon City area. It is a small house, which I know that's not for everybody, but hey, if you're a first-time home buyer and it's something that you wanna get into, you could say this presents a unique opportunity maybe for some curb appeal improvements or some basic interior things. I think that's a very reasonable price. Number 7 is a $520,000 single family home that is 1,964 square feet. There's no photo shown with this article, but, built in 1976. Still, again, very affordable. Made it quite a jump between this home here, at 456,000, quite a bit larger house. So you could start to see the difference between a house that was in the 400s and a house that's in the 500s. Again, we don't know what the condition of the home is, but we know it closed for 520,000. So this home was $535,000. We're at number 6. Again, we've already been through several properties and we're in the mid 5s, getting into the mid 5s. So this home was 1,400 roughly 1,438 square feet. Um, newer, so built in 2013, so presumably newer than the homes before. There's one, I don't think it said what that one, um, without a photo, I don't think it said when it was built, but at any rate, built in 2013, so it's built within the last decade-ish, slightly a little bit longer. $535,000, 1,438 square feet. Not an unreasonable price. Then we get to number 5. We are halfway through this list. We are in the mid fives. So, looking at this, I'm saying lots of affordable options in Oregon City. If you're somebody who doesn't wanna live in Southeast Portland, you're looking for something a little different feel, and you want a reasonably priced house, definitely there's options here in Clackamas County that are close in. So that's Oregon City right here. You don't have to live in Portland to get a good quality of life and have a good price for a home. So this house, $545,000. Granted, it is on Highway 213. That may not be for everybody, but this so far is the largest house, 2127 on square feet. So looks to be has a pretty curb appeal. This is a very, very nice looking house. So 545,000. We're midway through the list. So let's see where else we go. Okay, we make a big jump to a $100,000 jump up to $638,000. This property was 1,700 square feet, built in 2002. So quite a big jump in price. No photo, so we don't know what the house looks like necessarily. Then we go up, modest jump to 640,000. Again, we're almost to the top. We're almost to the top. Then we have a home at 687,000. And then finally, the most expensive home was this $1.7 million single family home at Holcomb Road. So, all of that to say this. At the end of the day, a majority of those homes, we didn't end up going any further than the 600s. And then we made a huge jump up to 1.7 million. And when we talk about affordability and where people can go to find reasonably priced inventory, I think that this really just goes to show, and I'll say it again, that Oregon City, that Clackamas County, there are lots of affordable options for people looking for a nice home in an area that might be appealing to them. With Oregon City, what I think is great about Oregon City is, again, you have great access to I-205 to commute to where you need to go in Portland. You're within 30 minutes to the airport or less, depending on traffic. And I think Oregon City brings a lot of diversity in areas. If you want more of a country feel, you wanna feel like you're out in the country a little bit more, you're gonna get that with Oregon City. I think that's a great option and still affordable. There's those unincorporated parts of Clackamas County with an Oregon City address, that offers some more country living if you like that. But if you want more of a charming feel close to some downtown amenities, Oregon City has a great downtown. Then there's some really cute, more historic homes kind of up on the hill that are close to downtown that could be super appealing to you. You have the charm. Some of those neighborhoods feel like some of those charming Portland areas. So Oregon City has a lot of diversity of area for a city that's really not that huge. Has a lot of options there. So anyway, if you're shopping for property or you're curious about it, don't sleep on Oregon City. I think there's a lot that has a lot to offer. But let me know what you think about those prices. What do you think about what's going on there in Oregon City? Okay, our next topic, our final topic, is this article that I found on Inman.com. Again, Inman is a real estate media company. They publish articles about what's happening in the real estate world. Bear with me here. Let me take a sip of my tea. And I wanted to bring this up in discussion because I think for folks who are looking forward to buying or selling a home, this is information that is relevant. In case you didn't know, the real estate market, it's been a bumpy ride for folks the last couple years, especially since interest rates have gone up. It's really changed the dynamic of folks entering the market to buy or sell. There's a lot less transactions happening over the last couple of years. And so let's take a look at this. I do not have a subscription to Inman, so hopefully it will let me show you this article. So I'm going to pull this up and share my screen just to show you the headline. This is the headline. It is a real news article. I am not making up this information. It says 49% of agents sold either one home or none at all in the past year. So and it the byline on this is agent glut means part-timers are now the majority of agents out there. Um, so this is an interesting article, and I would suggest if you wanna learn more about this, take a look at this or Google. There's plenty of conversation about this type of thing in the real estate space. But why is this important to you as a consumer, as a buyer or seller? Um, I think when you look at the world out there of real estate agents, the average person, and forgive me, I don't have the actual um, source of this information and where it came from, but I read somewhere at one time that the average person knows about 7 real estate agents. And if you're married or have a significant other and you're working together and put your social spheres together, then that means you could know up to 14 individual real estate agents in your life. There's no shortage of people in your world that sell real estate. So you have a lot of choices. And what a difficult thing for you when you know a lot of people and you're connected with and have relationships with a lot of people. So how do you choose? I think that you can safely assume that about 50% of the people that you might know did either one deal or none in the past year. So when you think about somebody who's active in the real estate space of who's best going to represent your interests, I think that's a consideration that folks who are buying or selling should make. And ultimately, it's your decision. And you're going to pick the person you think is going to best do the job. But I think it's fair to ask the question of how much business somebody did, and maybe they're a new agent. There's nothing wrong with working with new agents. I was a new agent. Everybody was new once. But I think that it's a matter of knowing who's going to support them through that transaction to make sure that you are going to be that your transaction is going to be managed in a way that is going to assure the best end result for you as a buyer or seller. And that could mean they have support from their brokerage or they have a mentor, they're on a team or something that's going to give you that confidence that they're going to best represent your interests and what you need to get done. So my suggestion is when you interview agents, ask them what they're doing. Are they a part-time agent or are they a full-time agent? Sometimes it's worth asking that question. Is a part-time agent going to do right by you? Absolutely. They could absolutely be the right fit for you. Um, are they going to be as available as you need them to be if they're a part-time agent? And, just be sure the bottom line with this article is just to be sure that you're doing yourself a favor and asking those kinds of questions. How long they've been in business, how many deals they did in the past year. If they're a new agent, who's going to be supporting them and helping them through. Um, Somebody had to take a chance on me when I was a new agent and give me a shot at business. And I'm thankful for that because I was able to do that and learn. So again, there's nothing wrong with being a new agent. Just make sure that if you're going to work with somebody who's new, ask that question, how they are going to be supported and in supporting you through that transaction. And do the due diligence. How are they marketing themselves? Are they easy to find online? Do they have a presence on social media that adds value? Adding value to you could be subjective. Value is always subjective. Are they present in conversation? Are they asking you good questions when they're engaged in talking to you? And so on and so forth. Because a lot of that, especially when you list a property, comes down to your marketing and how that property is going to be marketed. And if they're lacking a social presence or they're not as active in certain areas where properties would be listed or people would discover things, that could say a lot about their ability as an agent to market your property to get you the most eyeballs on that property and attract the most buyers that could be interested in your house. So all that to say, um, do the due diligence for yourself, ask good questions, interview folks, and don't be afraid to have those conversations because this is for most people, your single largest asset that you own or that you would be buying. And it's worth it and totally okay to interview agents and see who's going to be the best fit for you. So leave me a comment, let me know what you think about that. Um, and would love to know your thoughts about what's happening with this and how you go about selecting the agent that you inevitably work with to buy or sell your property. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed today's real estate recess, this leap day edition. covering our 4 topics today. If you found this information useful, hit the chime to be notified that or the bell to be notified when I'm going live or when I have other videos released. Subscribe to my channel. Would love to have you be part of the community. Leave me comments, like my videos, share away. Love to have that. So thank you for taking time out of your day to watch today's real estate recess. And I'm Jennifer Schurter. I'm a real estate agent here in the Clackamas County area serving the Portland Metro South suburbs. And if you're looking to make a move in the area, I hope you'll look me up and I'd love to connect. In the meantime, have a great day and we'll see you next time.